Michael Bisping calls out Brendan Schaub for claiming that Jake Shields assaulted Mike Jackson and saying that the UFC may involve the police in the matter.
Brendan Schaub shares his thoughts on the recent altercation between Jake Shields and Mike Jackson. This is assault, brother. Is that what Brendan Schaub's saying? Saying that Jake Shields assaulted him? Assaulted, what's his face, Mike Jackson.
I believe that is Brendan's take on the matter.
So he's not sticking up for one of his mixed martial arts brethren, a legend of the sport, a man that's paved the way for many generations of athletes, for sticking up for himself when a guy called him a racist and a Nazi completely over and over again, and actually doubles down on it and says that it's assault. Come on, Brendan. He says, here's Schaub's quote. This is assault, brother. They're the PI, they're probably going to press charges, which is a bummer because you don't want fights happening at, your headquarters and stuff like that. But you think any business in the world would UFC would go, I get it. And also two professional fighters, one talking shit, they run into each other. That is what happens. I very much doubt the UFC are going to involve the police whatsoever. Obviously, I can't speak for them, but one would assume that they are more than familiar with dealing with a situation of two fighters getting into a little skirmish. You know what I mean? By trade, it's what they do. And at press conferences, at weigh-ins, all the time they are dealing with this shit. Granted, generally, I think the unwritten rule is that people do not do that at the PI. Nah, but listen, Jake's human. You let his emotions get the better of him, What can you do?
Dana White makes a Grinch punch for this week's episode of EF It Friday.
What's up, everybody? It's fucking Friday here at UFC headquarters. Merry Christmas, everyone. And for Christmas, we will be trying the Grinch Punch. In a pitcher mix, 4 ounces of Hollerhead, 4 ounces of clear rum, 4 ounces of Mountain Dew, 12 ounces of orange juice, and 4 ounces of blue curacao. All right, here we go. Merry Christmas. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm not being biased because of Hollerhead. That's actually a pretty good drink. Merry Christmas.
Megan Olivier reveals her personal favorite UFC fight of the year.
But fight of the year, I was having a really hard time picking this. And I went with Hamzat versus Gilbert Burns because I sat Octagon side for it and it just felt so bananas. Even though like Poirier and Chandler was amazing, there were so many great fights. Yuri versus Glover itself was a great fight, but that was one I was like, man, there were so many epic moments this year. And I just felt like this year in particular, the sport and the divisions were kind of shook up. So many champions were dethroned. We have so many new champs compared to when the year started. And it was just really fun to see all the chaos.
Volkanovski reveals that he is struggling to bulk up ahead of his lightweight title fight versus Islam.
Mate, I tell you what, I'm struggling with I never thought, being a fighter and always cutting weight and all that type of stuff and dieting. And I used to hear people whinge about bulking and trying to put on weight and eating too much. And I always felt, look at these guys whinging about eating too much. How about them? But now, honestly, I made understand it is hard work. It is physically and mentally hard to force down, especially when, again, the calories you're trying to put down are reasonably clean, right?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of food.
So it's not chocolate, it's not beers, it's not a steak pie or nothing, or pizza. It's good old-fashioned meat and vegetables and pasta and rice.
Yeah, exactly. Meat, yeah, exactly. So the carbs and proteins and just barely any fats and saturated fats and all that type of stuff where a lot of calories are. So there's a lot of rice, pastas and chicken and proteins and shit like that. But I mean, it's harder than you'd think.
No, it's a tough life you've got there, Volk. As a guy that had to kill himself to get to 185, I've got limited sympathy, brother.
Khabib and Islam get their sweat on.
No. Динислам, смотри, да, ты что делаешь? Динислам, ты что делаешь, скажи, да? На удушающий тебя штанга взяла, да? Из-за этого, пацаны, Надо брать кого-нибудь для страха.
Kenny Florian and John Anik explain why they wouldn't accept $5,000 per show to be a UFC judge.
Paying you $5,000, maybe you do 6 UFC shows a year, an extra 30 grand in your pocket. Would you go through the course and do that?
Absolutely not. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't think I would.
Right. All right, so here's why I would not do it. If the system changed, and don't kill me for this, Sean Sheehan, if the system changed and there was some way that I could either manipulate the criteria to include more 10-10s or be more liberal with the 10-8s or half points or open scoring, whatever it may be, I would do it. But right now, even though you hear me bang on judges, and again, I consider our show to be sort of the show of people in the MMA space. A lot of referees, judges, fighters are listening, right? But again, I can't be here to make friends, right? Like some people said to me, dude, you love Ken Flo last week. Why are you saying, oh, everybody's going to be piling on Ken Flo now for his Patty Pimblett scorecard? Why are you bringing more attention to it? And, you know, I know I'm not jeopardizing my friendship with Ken Flo, but I'm not necessarily here to make friends. The reason I would not be a judge is because I don't think they have the right tools. So as much as you may think I'm banging on these individuals, I feel for them because I don't think they have the right tools. So no, I wouldn't do it for $5,000 a show.
I agree, and I think that's a great argument. And that's a lot of what I'm where I'm coming from is, you know, I think that it's a very difficult thing to do as it is right now. And I think the negatives outweigh the positives for me. I mean, you know, and take the money out of it. It's just, I think you're right. I think you got to give these guys better tools to be able to make the right decision.
Michael Bisping explains to Anthony Smith how Dillon Danis got famous and reveals that Ali Abdelaziz slapped him badly last year.
I've never had any problems with Dillon Danis. He's never said anything to me. He's never said anything about me. I just don't understand it. Like,
there's nothing to understand.
I don't understand. Like, how did he get popular? Like, I know, how did he, like, maybe it was because he was Conor's jiu-jitsu guy.
Carrying Conor's coattails, wearing really bad knockoff versions of his shirts. If you go to his Instagram, Brian, you'll see pictures of him with like silk shirts on. Like Conor's loaded.
Like, what's he do? What's he do?
Sucks Conor's dick.
No, I mean, like, for money. Like,
well,
he doesn't fight.
He fought in Bellator a couple of times. I don't know what he does. He slaps people. He gets slapped.
He gets in street fights on Instagram and Twitter. He gets.
Ali Abdelaziz slapped him last year in New York because I was there. He's fucking Ali slapped him and then they threw him out.
He's a really good. I've watched some of his jiu-jitsu though. Like, he was a really, really good jiu-jitsu competitor.
He's proper.
But he didn't make $1 million off of that.
No,
he ain't making $1 billion in Bellator. The shirt and look at the watch. Like, he must come from money or something.
He's a rich little daddy's boy, isn't he?
He must be.
Anyway, so there's a YouTuber called KSI, a British guy. You might have heard of him. I've done some training with him. Nice guy, actually. And he's doing the Jake Paul route. You know, he's boxing and whatnot. His brother just fought fucking Floyd Mayweather. I mean, what is going on in the world? What is this? What is going on? But anyway, Dillon Danis and KSI was supposed to, well, they are boxing. They had a press conference. You would think this would be a big deal for Dillon. He didn't even show up. Didn't even show up to the press conference. Do you know what I mean? So he wants these fights. He looks for them all the time. He finally gets one and then now kind of drops the ball in that regard. But we're going to leave that there.
Yeah.